The Spellbinders kits this month feature designs that look like painting supplies, lots of ability to add different colors, and artistic styles of flowers. Hi everyone, I'm Rebecca Keppel, and in today's video, I'll be sharing a whole bunch of the kit clubs this month. Let's start out by taking a look at the embossing folder of the month. The embossing folder this month is this really fun, whimsical grid sort of design. I really like how subtle this could be if you just do it on white cardstock, but you can also do it on color. You could make it stand out even more with some ink, and I'll do that later in the video as well. But it's a great design you could use on lots of cards. This is the 3D embossing folder, also a beautiful design. Oops, dropped it. This is a floral design, and it has so much dimension. It is absolutely stunning, whether you do it in white cardstock or in colorful cardstock. This is the stamp and die set this month. You can see it's got a beautiful floral design as well as a really fun couple of sentiments that die cut out individually. There are sub-sentiments and a rectangle to die cut those as well. This is the BetterPress plates of the month. This is one of those artistic designs I was telling you about where you can really play with color. It's also a registration plate, so it will show you how to get those different colors. And I wanted to show you that in the video because I think some people haven't used the registration plates yet. So basically it comes with this acetate sheet that's a map, and it has different colors of the blotches. You can do any order that you want, but you want all the same color lines to be the same color ink. So I did all those reddish lines in this pink ink, and look at how those turn out. Those are so fun. Then you take those plates off, you keep the paper in place and put the next color of plates in. So I'm doing these in blue. And you continue to do this. You keep that paper taped onto that clear plate. This way you are actually able to go over certain colors, and that makes kind of a mix and match and a little bit of a blend to those colors as well. So this is how it turns out, and it's just so much fun and really a great way to play with different colors with your plates. There are also several sentiments that are included in this set, all about color. This is the Glimmer Kit of the month. It's another fun, colorful kit. I believe it comes with a rainbow foil, and that's what I'll be using today. So if you just have that large plate on your glimmer machine, warm it up, and then place your rainbow foil on white cardstock taped in behind. You can run that through with the large image. You can also use the rainbow foil on those thin sentiments as well. You can also, of course, use a solid color of foil for both of the sentiments and the images. I also like to do this on black cardstock because rainbow foil looks phenomenal, whether it's on white cardstock or whether it's on black cardstock. So you can see how gorgeous this looks with the mini stripe rainbow foil. I absolutely love those sentiments in rainbow. This is the stitching die of the month, and you can see that it is a paint palette with a paint brush. This is the stencil set of the month. It's hard to see exactly what it is, so I'm going to show you exactly how this stencil set stencils out. So I'll start with the first stencil. It's very easy to do. I have each stencil basically being one color. So I had the lighter green, then the darker green for the second stencil, peel that away, lay the third one down. You can see how it's really easy to line up because of the lines of the flowers that sit into the leaves. Then there's some flower centers. And then this last one, I did decide to do two different colors because there are accents for the leaves and then there are accents for the flowers. So I'm using smaller brushes for that effect, so I can really get into those tiny areas. And this is how the stencils turn out, an absolutely gorgeous floral design. Here, let's play with the wax seal of the month. It is a gorgeous hello sentiment, and I'm mixing a couple of different colors of gold and then a pink together. I believe there's a mix that you end up getting with this month's set, but I'm not 100% sure. And you can see how This is a rectangular wax seal, so you want to pour out a little bit of extra wax and make sure you pour it out kind of in an oval shape so you can get that whole wax seal on your wax. Basically just making sure you melt everything really good, and then here I'm pouring it in that oval shape so that I can really get the entire hello sentiment and the entire wax seal onto the wax. Again, you don't have to press down with these, you just want to set them down, and then you can see how cool this hello looks. Of course, I like to also maybe try it in a different color, so I'm just doing the gold. It's got a hint of the pink still in there, but look at that gold, it's so beautiful. And so I'll just lay that down right on that oval pour that I did, and this is how that turned out. Now I'll just take a little bit of paint pen and accent the raised parts of the sentiments so they really stand out, and you can see all three of the wax seals I created. For the stitching die of the month, I'm going to create a card with it now. So I've stitched up all the paint palettes except for one, and you can see you also get a solid rectangle, so you can adhere the stitching down to that solid rectangle. Makes it easy to adhere then to your card. There's also a rectangle that's the base of the palette, and a smaller rectangle that's the tray that the brush sits in. So these paint palettes are really easy to stitch. Just some long stitches going from the center all the way around the outside. These are all just straight stitches and so quick and easy to do. I know not quite that quick, but it basically does not take long to get all of the palettes stitched out. I did them in coordinating colors to the cardstock that I chose. And of course, we're going to do a rainbow here. Now the paintbrush is just a few long stitches up the body of the brush, and there's also a few stitches on the brush itself. So, and a few stitches on the little metal cap that holds those bristles into place. And you can see how you adhere those all down to create the brush. I'm just placing a large acrylic block on top so that they stay in place. For the palettes, I want to use enough adhesive. I'm using liquid glue, and I'll place it on the threads themselves and on the cardstock. I really want to make sure these stay stuck down, and since the thread lifts up the back a little bit, you want to make sure you use enough and use enough all around that palette. I'm using some Spellbinders foam squares, the ones that are 1 millimeter, so they're thinner than some of their other foam squares, to put the little tray for the brush, and then I'll pop up the brush as well. So already looking so cute. To create the card base, I just put the panel onto an 8.5 by 11 piece of cardstock so I could see where to score it at, and then I'll cut off that excess on the right hand side and on the bottom so that it will fit perfectly on this card base. Next, I'll take those palette colors. I started with the light pink, but really I wanted to start with the dark pink, so I did switch that up, and I'll just use again those thinner foam squares so that there's a little bit of dimension off the back of that palette, but not so much that between the thread and the foam square it's really popping up. And then I used one of those sentiments that I BetterPressed in black, and this was such a fun card to put together. It would be great for anyone. Here's the stamp set that we looked at a little bit earlier. I'm stamping out the floral design, the hello, and a sub-sentiment all on one A2 piece of cardstock, and then I'm heat embossing it with gold embossing powder. And so I'll just heat set that so that all that embossing powder melts, and melted embossing powder, once it is cool, is a great way to have an ink resist background. So I'll use a couple of colors of Distress Oxide ink and blend them out over that embossed background once it's nice and cool. I'll use the dies to cut everything out. Here's the 3D embossing folder on pink cardstock, and I'm using some white pigment ink and just rubbing it gently on top. This is going to add ink to the parts of the embossing folder image that are raised, but won't add it to the parts that are not raised. So you'll get a beautiful pink and white design. I cut it down to 4 by 5 5 1/4 so I can mat it on some white cardstock. And now I'll take those die cut images and sentiments and pop them up off the background. For the sentiments, I'll just use some liquid glue and adhere them down to the bottom of the image. This is such a fun, pretty card to put together and has such an impactful look with that embossed background. For the Glimmer Kit, there's not much I need to do because this image is just so wow worthy. So I cut the panel down to 4 by 5 1/4, matted it on some black cardstock. I'm also matting the sentiment on black cardstock and then using some black foam squares to pop that sentiment up. But this design is so amazing and the rainbow foil looks so amazing. You don't need much more. For the stencil background, I did grab an arch die, and now I have that embossing folder of the month that I used on white cardstock and some spun sugar distress oxide ink. Remember how I said that you could use ink on top to really call out the image, it makes it pop a little bit more so you can really see it. You could keep it white, but just for purposes of video especially, I like to use a little bit of color so that you can really see that background a little bit. And then for the sentiment, I used the clear stamps to stamp hello and another sub-sentiment, and then I will take some liquid adhesive and put those down right on the stenciled background that I did cut out with the arch. Just gives it a little bit of a different look rather than using the entire stenciled background. Again, these flowers are so pretty and so easy to create with. For the BetterPress, it's kind of like the Glimmer. I really just want to use this image. Don't really want to do much to it. So cut it down to 4 by 5 1/4, matted it on some blue cardstock, and then used one of those BetterPress sentiments that says, "Have a colorful birthday." Really fun no matter what you're using that card for. Next, I'll take one of the embossed folder backgrounds and cut it out in an arch and then tie some gold thread around it. I'll take one of the wax seal circle adhesives and place it right behind the wax seal there, and then just peel off that protective layer. There's a little handle that you can use to peel it off. Once that's on there, you can just stick this down to your project. I love those circle adhesives. They make it really easy to adhere wax seals, and you don't have to worry about doing the waxing on your project. So now I have that 3D embossed background that I cut down to 4 by 5 1/4 on white cardstock, matted it on some pink, and then placed everything, the wax seal and the arch, on top of that. I think by now a lot of you know how much I love a good rainbow. So this month, creating with rainbows of colors was so much fun for me. But I'd love to hear if anything caught your eye. Let me know in the comments below. As always, I want to thank you so much for stopping by and spending time with me today. Please stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you again soon. No, painting supplies. As always, I was like, where are you looking? The camera's right there. Good job.